We're going to look at percentage increases and decreases using multipliers. The first thing we need to do is to work out what multiplier we use to work out the various percentage increases and decreases. So I want to increase something by 10%. This means I take my original 100% and I add 10% to it. That gives me 110% of the total amount. 110%, as a decimal, we need to divide by 100, so that will give me 1.1. So in order to increase something by 10%, I need to multiply by 1.1. If I want to increase something by 17%, I take my 100% and I add 17% to it, which gives me 117% in total. Changing this to a decimal gives me 1.17. So in order to increase by 17%, I would need to multiply by 1.17. So for a percentage increase, I add on the amount I'm increasing by, change that to a decimal, and then multiply by that number. For an increase, it will always be a number above 1. I want to look at decreasing something by 20%. I've got my 100%, and I'm going to subtract the 20% from it. 100% take away 20% is 80%, and 80% as a decimal is 0.8. So to decrease by 20%, I'm going to multiply the original amount by 0.8. Likewise, if I choose to decrease something by 23%, I've got 100%, I'm going to take off 23%, which gives me 77% of the amount left. As a decimal, that is 0.77. So to decrease something by 23%, I need to multiply by 0.77. Now we can use this principle to look at percentage increases and decreases. So I want to increase £120 by 15%. So I need to add onto 100% by 15%, and that gives me 115%, which is a decimal is 1.15. This means I need to multiply 120 by 1.15, and if I do that, that gives me £138. So 120% increase by 15% is £138. The decrease, I'm being asked to decrease £250 by 20%. So I work out my 100% and I subtract 20% from it. This gives me 80%. As a decimal, 80% is 0.8. So to work out this percentage decrease, I multiply 250 by 0.8, which gives me £200. With slightly more complicated percentages, it's exactly the same principle. So I take my 100%, and this time I want to increase by 14%. So I end up with 114%, which as a decimal is 1.14. This means I now need to multiply 160 by 1.14 to increase it, so that that will give me a total of £182.40. And similarly with decreasing, I've got 100%. I'm going to subtract 27% from it, so I want to decrease £300 by 27%, and that leaves me with 73%. 73% as a decimal is 0.73. So to decrease £300 by 27%, I need to do 300 times 0.73, and that will give me £219. So to find a percentage increase or decrease using a percentage multiplier, you need to make sure that you are working out the percentage multiplier first. If it's an increase, it will always be larger than 1. If it's a decrease, it will be less than 1. And then multiply the original amount by that multiplier to find out your answer.